Good evening. Glad you could join me tonight. Thank you for being there. Bill Boshears till 12 o'clock anyway. Tonight, for those of you who wanted something different, I went through it, took it to heart. We're looking at something different tonight. It may please you to know that we have a guest via the telephone tonight. But first, I want to pay tribute to a gentleman in the Middle East who has passed away. He is one of their heroes. He is the Amir. He is some of the country's, one of the country's brightest and fearless leaders. Died in Iraq, and things have come to not a screeching halt, but they're paying homage to him tonight, and our respects and best wishes to those in that area of the world. Thank you for being tonight. And for those of you who don't know, Nancy Pelosi managed to get to the Middle East. I don't know what possesses people to think that they need to go there. Maybe she felt like she was important enough to go there. A couple of problems with that. First and foremost, they send Condoleezza Rice, another mistake, but diplomatically, you try to be diplomatic. You try to be respectful of the religion, of the faith, of the faithful, and to send a woman into a country that they don't really revere women that much kind of is stupid to me. George Bush said he thought that Nancy's trip was a waste of taxpayers' money, and I happen to agree with him on that's one of the many issues that needs to be really corrected, and somebody, I don't care who it is, somebody needs to go to Washington and explain to these people, particularly the politicians who think they run the world, that this is a sovereign country. It is someplace that you are not welcome. Please believe me, particularly women. These people don't revere their wives, and you're sending women in there, Bush, to antagonize or to do whatever it is you think you're doing. I have no idea. But for a woman just to jump up and make a complete fool of herself, they're doing it, and they just graciously let them do whatever they want to do. But it's not good protocol, I don't think. That's just my opinion, but it happens to be all of the Middle East. Do you ever see women in any of the meetings? No. When they're rioting in the street, do you see any women? Only after there's bloodshed? Think about that. Is there something wrong with that picture? I think so. Sending a woman over there to do that is not my kind of thing. At any rate, tonight with me is we're going to talk about something that is not as strange to you, but you're going to have to deal with it. I said that before Memorial Day, gas would be $4 to $5 a gallon. Well, it already is. And looking at that, tonight I thought we'd look at, through the eyes of a man who's done probably more research onto this area of the unknown. Now, the reason I say it's unknown, thank God for the internet and for those of you who have enough sense not to pay attention to some of the things that you hear. For instance, you can't run a car on water. Why, you ain't no way you get 200 miles per gallon out of that thing. It's already been done, doofus. And a man who has chronicled that on his website is Byron Wine. Mr. Wine, thank you for joining me tonight, sir.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, I don't know if everybody can hear you in the world, but I can for sure.
Okay.
Byron, you and I go back some ways together. We did this on radio some years ago.
Yes.
Now, Byron, why, I've thought about this. Why did you start chronicling this in just looking at it the way you do? What got you involved in all of this?
Well, I started out back in the 70s, Bill, and we had the first
Yeah.
oil crisis.
Yeah.
And I learned that tankers were sitting offshore beyond the horizon,
Yes.
off the coast of New Jersey, waiting to come in when the price went up.
Right. They were trading and called it daisy chaining. I know all about that.
Yep, that's when I got started.
And
I've been at it ever since.
now, let me ask you a question. Is it a dangerous job?
Well, so far it hasn't been dangerous.
Well, I know you're still here and I'm still here.
Yeah.
We've both been looking at this, but you are chronicling about people that somehow mysteriously or surreptitiously just die for some unknown reason.
Yeah, one of them was Stanley Meyer. He was running a car on water.
Now he's here in Ohio, in a place. Anyway, you know, it's here in Ohio. He's in Ohio, right?
Yeah, he was. He's dead now.
Yeah. And he was afraid they were going to kill him. Is that right?
He thought he was protected by angels, but according to everything I've read, he was poisoned. Now he was going to offer a kit to modify a car to run on water.
Yes.
For $1,500.
Wow. Now we know that his car works. We know that all of his plans worked. There's no doubt. Every time somebody perfects either a carburetor that will get 200 miles to the gallon or the car runs on water, something mysterious, they just die.
Yeah, that happened to a guy in Texas. I can't think of his name right now, but he had a carburetor he built on a 4,600-pound Ford Galaxy.
Yeah.
Got over 100 miles to the gallon with it. He died of a drug and alcohol overdose.
Yes. I remember I did a story about him back in the 70s. Went down to Texas.
Tom Ogle.
And I saw the car. I'm sorry, what?
Tom Ogle.
Tom Ogle, that's right, Tom Ogle. I did a story about him, and I saw the car. I saw it do what it did. I saw a lawnmower that was just sitting there running. It just ran. It ran the whole time I was there.
Yeah, 96 hours he ran on a tank of gas in his lawnmower.
Did he do it with? Yeah, he did. It was 96 hours on the lawnmower.
Yep.
On a little tank about so big.
Yeah, it was a regular old lawnmower tank, and he was running on the fumes.
Now, I saw it. I'm not questioning it. The people who are questioning it and are upset with it obviously didn't want it to come to fruition, Byron.
That's correct. In fact, the magazine that the article was in, and I have that entire article on my webpage, I looked for that sometime after the magazine was published, and nowhere in this area could I find that magazine, and the Library of Congress didn't have it.
Now, you got to ask yourself, what kind of authority do you have to strip stuff out of the National Archives or the Library of Congress? I'm sure it could be done. Why, we had one guy go in and stuff them down in his trousers and get away with it.
Yep.
So I'm sure somebody could have done that. My point in bringing this up, Byron, we're looking at right now, we don't get any of this news in the mainstream media. It is not touted in the newspapers, and when it is, it's ha, 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 ha. And they kind of laugh at it.
That's correct.
And nobody takes it seriously. There is something that is happening, though. And I challenge you listening to me right now or watching this show, wherever you are in the world, to go to Byron Wine, that's BYRONWINE.com, and read the website. Yes, you will have to read. I'm sorry. We can only do so much for you. But
well, there are some videos they can look at.
Now, that's the point that I'm making. I'll tell you what, I'll explain the rest of this, but first we got to take a break. My guest is Byron Wine, be right here, but don't go away. Jump in, there's a couple lines open, 381-3830. If you got questions, we'll take them right after this. Back in the Scizone with my guest Byron Wine tonight. Byron and I are going to do some experiments this week and maybe next week. Maybe we can get him in here video. We've talked about it. He and I know what we're, maybe we can put something together to be able to watch him. Byron, my question was, I guess before we went to break, of the people on your website, I've never seen anything like it. It's byronwine.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there are videos in there. It's called Joe Sell, and one of them, he's an Australian experimenter. He discovered this phenomena, and it's a 2-hour video. Now, you got to understand something. All of this information is chronicled in one place. This is the only website I know like it. Other people have put together phases and pieces, this and that. Byron has done his homework. Byron, how long have you had this website up?
Oh, gosh, about 10, 15 years, I think.
And it is as up-to-date as this week.
Yesterday.
You were telling me that you went to the, what did you do? You went to the patent office, and what did you find?
A patent office search online. I found a patent issued in 1896 for a heater that runs on water.
A heater that runs on water?
Yeah, a regular furnace for your home.
And were they using electricity, or how do you, is it on your website?
Yeah, I got a copy of the patent on my website. There are hundreds of patents out there for water-fueled devices.
And we're looking, first off, is it fair to say, fair, what the hell is fair? It's happening. Somebody doesn't want the American people to know about this.
You're absolutely right.
Now,
and I've had great difficulty. It's only people like you who have had the guts to do it, but the media, major media, won't touch it.
Why is it they won't touch it, Byron?
Well, I think they're all controlled, and they just don't want the information out. If people look at my website, you'll find lots of emails and letters that I've sent out to people in the media, and they just don't respond. I
think it's this. In the media, people have to sell commercial. They got to sell ad space in newspapers. And who in God's name, you know, I've got a newspaper and I'm selling the oil companies, or in this the particular case we just mentioned, the coal company that was going to stoke our furnace with coal. I don't want to run a thing saying, you know, you can run your furnace on water.
Yep.
Is it that, are we that stupid? Yeah.
They think we are.
Well,
there's a very interesting book that was published in 1898 called The Free Press.
Yes.
That talks about exactly that they don't print things because they're afraid of losing revenue.
I've read the book. I read excerpts from it, and then I dug it up. It is a fascinating book.
I've got a preface on my webpage from that book.
When you get to Byron's website, you're going to have a feast. It is a feast for what you're for quote unquote the non-energy crisis. Right now, we've got record-making oil companies are making record-breaking amounts of money, and the oil guy digging it out of the ground isn't making it. The Abdul somebody from some camel country is not getting it. It's the speculators on Wall Street. Exactly. Remember why Byron said that they were just offshore and they were daisy chaining the oil. I said daisy chaining, but they were selling the oil back and forth to drive the price up. These people just go out and buy the futures.
Yep.
And the oil isn't even pumped out of the damn ground yet, and already the price increase is at the pump. And they'll say, well, you know, gas, I believe it's going to go up. And boy, it's like they've got a crystal ball, Byron. All of a sudden they got it.
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic. I've got a talk by Lindsey Williams on my webpage, and he says we got more oil in Alaska than we know what to do with.
I saw an article today that said because of the center of the earth and the molecular structure and so on, so we'll never run out of oil.
That's correct. I've got a statement by a chairman of ExxonMobil. He essentially says the same thing. We ain't going to run out.
Well, they keep telling us it's all over and we're going to run out. The Middle East has had a bell curve and they've got all this and they're pumping sludge and all this stuff. And yet we just found the largest offshore. There's 9,000 square miles just off the coast of Louisiana. That's some of the richest oil in the world.
Yep. In fact, President Bush Sr., when he was in charge of the CIA, said we're going to run out of oil in 20 years. Well, we still got it.
What was, there was, the Pelican Brief was a movie made about that, was a resembling of it, but the Pelican Brief, good movie, and it refers to that oil and off the shelf out there. You've taken the time to chronicle the stuff that's out there, and it's in a place where you all can get it. It's byronwine.com. Byron, you mind if we take a couple of phone calls?
No problem, sir.
All right, let's go to Reggie. Been there the longest. Let's see. Tom's been there the longest. Tom, you're on the air with Byron Wine. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, Bill and Brian.
Yes, sir.
Explain to me if these theories are out there, carburetors that run 200, 100 miles per gallon, cars that run on water, why isn't there a format for building something like this? And explain how water is combustible. How could anyone run a typical engine on water?
Well,
why
sir,
isn't that explained? All we have is theory out there that so-and-so in some place has manufactured something that will run on water. Why can't we get beyond that?
Sir, let me direct you to item number 13-V on my webpage. I have videos of 6 automobiles that are fueled with water. The Japanese have a water-fueled automobile on the street.
On the street now.
But it's not the typical kind of automobile that we're used to running here.
Well, that's incidental, sir.
Sir,
it's incidental what you're saying. Let me interrupt you. Either you are upset or you don't really realize what you're saying. They've got a car in Japan running on water, and you don't think that's a deal? Why the hell couldn't you just change our cabs here?
I don't think that there's a car that can run on water. Certainly that's a possibility, but it's not the typical car we're running over here.
What the hell do you want, a Buick? What kind of car do you want, sir?
Don't throw up your hands like it's ridiculous.
It is. You're ridiculous.
Is water combustible, Bill?
Is it? Yes.
Yes.
It's combustible.
Yes, it's got hydrogen in it.
How much energy by sparking an ounce of water can you get out of water? Answer that question then.
Answer your question. They've got milliamps taking it with batteries up to 12. It runs off your battery.
Sure, but it's a different process. You're not atomizing water into a chamber that's compressing it and then firing a spark and getting a combustion.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Something that we're not getting information-wise.
I'll tell you why you're not getting
it.
You haven't seen it yet. You haven't seen it. You haven't. By the way, have you been on the internet to look for it?
Well, no. I
rest my case.
Right now.
Hey, thank you, Tom. You've proven my point. Go get them. Get on the internet, look it up, and let me know how you work it out, okay? Thank you. Let's take a pause in the action. Brian Wine's my guest. I think, it's on the internet. Look. Thank you. Back in the Scizone, Bill Bocheers with you tonight. Byron Wine is my guest tonight. I want to get the calls. Been here the longest. We'll get them out of the way. Byron, thank you for sticking around here tonight. Look, what I'm talking about is not something that is too far out there. It's on the internet. Well, I can't make you go there, that's for sure. Let's go quickly to Reggie, and we'll get to Ann and Betty and the rest of you. Reggie, you're on the air with Byron Ryan. Go right ahead, sir.
How you doing?
Doing well. Go ahead.
I was just thinking it's crazy how people don't believe that we have cars that can run on water, because I know we have the technology. It's just the fact that the media doesn't want everybody to know about it, because then it would be a big hassle over these gas prices, and people want to know
That guy who just called be the one bitching and moaning, oh, look how high the gas is. And yet, you know, you don't want to convert his car. Little jar, about like that. I saw a guy with a jar this big, putting hydrogen in his car. He's getting, he had some kind of a mercury, one of those soccer mom vans. He's getting 44 miles to the gallon of gas. It's on the internet. Go look it up. It ain't I didn't say it. I saw it. Okay. Reggie, what else you got?
No, that's it. I just wanted to say that I think it's crazy how these gas prices are so high and that people don't believe we got other alternatives.
We've got alternatives. We've just got to get them together and put them together. That's what we got. Appreciate it, Reggie. Thank you, sir.
Let me mention one thing, Bill.
Go right ahead.
NASA has a device on the space station that converts water into hydrogen and oxygen.
Yes.
Now, if they can do it on the space station, they should be able to do it on Earth.
There's a guy doing it under the hoods of his car. There's a bunch of them doing it already.
Yeah. Well, the Navy is planning to extract hydrogen from diesel fuel carried by a Navy destroyer, and that thing is sitting in 66% hydrogen to begin with.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable stupid. I mean, they're sitting in water with hydrogen in it. And it's salt water, which is the best in the world.
Yep.
I rest my case. Let's go to one of my favorite. Let's go. Ann, you're on the air with Byron Wine. Go ahead.
Hi. How are you doing, Bill?
I couldn't be doing better. I'm glad to have you. Thank you for being there.
Oh, sure. I haven't been around, so I thought I'd just give a call. It seems like an interesting evening. I just want to clear something up. You have fuel cell technology, which is a great deal of what you've been talking about in terms of what's on the International Space Station.
Yep.
And fuel cell technology is about 45 years old.
Yep.
It's nothing new. And you can do it either with water or with hydrocarbons. And when you do it with hydrocarbons, you have to use reformer technology, which is expensive because it uses platinum metals.
Yeah.
Now, during and just before, in the 1930s, Germany put together a program to study what they call oxalated fuels. And oxalated fuels use water. As a matter of fact, it's a system by which you have 30% hydrocarbons and 70% water. And that there is such a thing as oxalated fuels. There was a company called AmeriClean here in the United States, and God knows what happened to them, but they are no longer around. The other thing is some people, people out there listening who lived in Kentucky and in West Virginia growing up around natural gas pipelines, they know there's something called drip gas. They call it drip gas. Basically what happens when you move a large amount of a hydrocarbon gas like natural gas to a pipeline, it weathers it, so basically it changes its vapor pressure, so a portion of it becomes liquid.
Yes.
And the guys in West Virginia can tell you they dump drip gas in their pickup trucks all the time, and they save a lot of money.
Sure do.
And you can do this very easily. There's a company in Canada that allows you to convert in other words, change the vapor pressure of natural gas and turn it into gasoline, or a gasoline substitute, I should say. It's expensive because now natural gas is very high.
Right.
But yeah, there are oxalated fuels that do use water, and people have to understand that water has components that are very useful in combustion. Obviously, water itself doesn't combust easily. It takes a very unusual set of atmospheric conditions for water to actually combust, but its components are necessary for combustion.
And once you split them up, the hydrogen and the oxygen, just split them by electrolysis. It's a form of electrolysis.
Yes.
It becomes hydrogen, it bubbles up, and it will run your car.
Yes, it will.
The internet is full of them from all over the world. And that's why I was saying, we're not really being held hostage. We're only being held hostage by our ignorance.
Well, there's a bottleneck in technology, and there's something that people will tell you is appropriate technology. Well, unfortunately, our policymakers don't understand the concept of what's appropriate technology anymore.
Ah, yes.
And we really have to get over this bottleneck. I mean, there's a company here in Cincinnati that's doing a very simple electric car conversion with the Saturn automobile, but they're expensive. They don't have to be that expensive. There are other ways of doing it. And I'm very disturbed. We have a big conversation going on right now in the scientific community because, as we've had this discussion before, Bill, our funding has been cut radically across the board. Billions and billions of dollars have been taken out of science.
As a matter of fact, not only in your particular field, but in doctors, there's a number of doctors doing research, interestingly enough, and this gets into the realm of conspiracies, but there's like 60-some doctors that have been involved with viral information. They have died. One guy jumped off a bridge, left his car there, the motor running, and just jumped. And he was on his way to see his father.
Well, you know, funny things happened during the Strategic Defense Initiative. There was a physicist in UK that was a senior scientist for one of the SDI projects.
Yes.
And he was found hanging from the doorknob in his laboratory, and the initial pronouncement was that he had hung himself.
Yes.
But he had apparently been garroted, and then 2 years after it came out that it was a quarter-inch puncture at the base of his skull. So this is not unusual. I think there's a real question as to what kind of industrial espionage is occurring in the United States these days and internationally, how it's being carried out against the West by maybe Russia, maybe the People's Republic of China. There's a real war against science and innovation right now in the West. And you really, you know, the way the U.S. government has framed it, I really wonder who they're working for, because they don't appear to be working for us.
The U.S. government, there's 545 of them. They're all working for K Street and the big oil companies. I call them, you know, it's not a conspiracy. Hell, everybody knows about it. We've got the best government money can rent.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Pretty much.
And I appreciate your call so much. Thank you so much for enlightening.
Have a good evening, Bill.
It's always a pleasure when you, please don't be a stranger, please.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Let's take a pause in the action. We'll come right back with more Mr. Brian Wine right here with you. Back in the Scizone, Bill Boshiers is my guest, Byron Wine. Byron, thank you for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it.
Glad you let me on, Bill.
It's
one thing I wanted to mention.
Go ahead.
In one of the videos on my webpage, there's a man who's discovered how to burn salt water.
Yes, I saw that.
And he just hits salt water with microwaves and burns it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is probably one of the most futuristic sites that you're going to have a chance to get to. And I only tell you this because we're limited by what we can do with the media, and unless we all become aware of what we're doing, let me give you an idea. Right now, tonight, this show is being piped onto the internet. A group of guys call themselves the Hunt Club, and they do one hell of a job. They put it up on a thing called Pal Talk, and it's the Scizone. At Pal Talk, you can actually watch what's going on in the studio. Now, it's live. This is live going all over the world tonight. Byron Wine's site right now is being publicized all over the world. And unless we start utilizing this new technology.
Well, it's not new, really.
It's not new. According to Byron, he just found in the archives of the Patent Office in 18-something. What was it? Go ahead, Byron. What was it?
It's a heater.
It's
for
a
your
heater
house.
for your house. Runs off water. Patent. Well,
Now,
go ahead.
200 years ago, one of the early attempts to build an automobile was fueled with water.
Yep.
And
Sure
I've got
was.
that document on my webpage.
All right, let's go back to the phone. Let's go to Betty. Betty, you're out there. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And Ann was such a delight. I hope she calls every week.
She's my favorite all-time person. She
Oh,
really is.
she's very knowledgeable.
She's a physicist, as I understand.
Oh, I figured that much, yeah. Well, I have a question for you.
Please.
Okay, if we buy oil from Saudi Arabia at $3 a barrel for crude. Now, how many gallons of refined gasoline will that make?
We don't get any of that crude oil out of the Middle East.
Oh,
it's
okay.
all refined and shipped overseas. We don't get it.
Okay.
We get our gas and oil from Canada and Mexico.
Okay, $5 then a barrel from Canada, Alaska.
How much, how many, Byron, do you know what that breaks down to? I don't.
No, I don't know. I'm sure we can find it. I just don't know it off the top of my head.
I don't know how many barrels of oil it takes to get a gallon of gas. I have no idea, ma'am. But I will ask that, and somebody will tell us that answer.
Well, and I want to know why General Motors and Ford has not jumped on the bandwagon of making these cars to run off of water or another.
Oh, it would be, they'd have to do away with their carburetors and all the other paraphernalia. Byron, you want to jump in there on that? You know more about that than I do.
Yeah. They already have the technology to make extremely high gas mileage automobiles. There's a 72 mile per gallon automobile you could have bought in 1983 if you lived in Europe. In 2002, Toyota was selling a 104 mile per gallon automobile in Europe. So they have the technology. The question is, why isn't that technology here? And I think we got Congress to blame for that.
Exactly. There's the culprit. Betty, I appreciate your call. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Go ahead. What's the answer? 42 gallons of crude oil, when refined, produces 19.9 gallons of gasoline. How about that? My trusty staff right here. We don't do much television, but we know our numbers, boys. I'll tell you that. That's my guys, and my crew's got it together. I appreciate it. Let's go to Joe, I think. Joe, you're on the air, sir.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Go right ahead.
I'm curious. I've gone to Mr. Wine's website a number of times, and I was kind of hoping to find either some specific information or references or links to specific information about maybe some how-to information about making some things like that. And maybe that's asking too much at this point.
Hey, hang on a minute. Go ahead, Byron.
I have the plans on my website.
You do?
Yes.
I'm curious how to find them.
Well, first off, you can go down, if you look at the first page, and you'll come down to where it says Patrick Kelly. His website in England has lots of plans on it.
Okay.
I have some plans from his website further on down in my stuff.
All right.
So they're out there.
Okay.
Bob Boyce, his plans are on my website. He was running speedboats on hydrogen many, many years ago.
Okay.
All right, my friend, you got it.
All right,
Keep me posted on how you work it out, okay?
All right. Thank
you, sir. Let's go to Dave. I guess we got Dave here. Dave, you're on the air with Byron Wine. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that what I think the problem is that we're spending all this oil and all this money on oil, and it's all going to the androids and robots. And you, sir, I believe that you are also an android.
I am, thank you. And having said that, being an android, you know, it takes all kinds, Byron.
Yeah. Oh, well. I've heard that for years, and I'm sure you have too.
Oh, a whole lot less. What was that guy's name again from England that's got that?
Patrick Kelly.
Do you know what number that is, sir?
I've got his website, a link to his website on my page. It's right down, about 10 lines down after you hit the website.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw that. After you hit the website, there it is. October.
It's on the left-hand side, Patrick Kelly.
All right. I'm looking here. Anyway, the telephone number is 513-381-3838. If you've got a question for Mr. Byron Wine, give us a call. We'd like to hear from you. The idea that everything is free It's not. Will you have to work at it? Yes. And until we get some way of putting this together, we may be confronted by having to do it ourselves. We need to do a break, and we'll do that ourselves, but we'll be right back with more and your phone calls. Jump in. Hey, we're back here. So just next few minutes. The telephone number 381-3838, area code 513. Jump in from wherever you are. I want to hear from you. Byron, I want to thank you again for being here tonight. Let's go right back to the phone. Let's go to Steve first. Steve, you're on the air with Byron.
Yes, I really appreciate you guys, giving us the information that you have. I think you guys are really keeping us informed. My question is that my understanding in Iceland, their public transit system is running on hydrogen.
Yes, it is.
And I just wonder why we aren't using that here. I mean, it's kind of in Cincinnati. You're talking about going to
Mark Twain said it best. He said, if the world was going to end tomorrow, I'd want to be in Cincinnati. They find out about things 3 years after it happens.
There you go.
There you go. I rest my case. Steve, appreciate the call. Thank you, sir.
Bill,
yes, sir.
Let
Go
me
ahead.
mention one thing.
Go ahead.
Back in November of last year, I offered every presidential candidate a free DVD with videos of 6 automobiles that burn water for fuel, and none wanted it.
Boy, that tells you something, don't it?
Yep.
And, that's why when they go before the Senate committees to testify, they never have them swear themselves in.
Mm-hmm.
You ever notice that? They're never sworn in. They just come and say whatever they want to, get up and leave.
Yep.
Where did you make all that money? I didn't make any money. I was that guy over there. I didn't do it. They did. End of story. They can lie, cheat, and steal because they've already paid for the votes to get what they want the way they want it. Let's go to Walter. Walter, thank you for being there. You're on the air with Walter.
Yep.
Byron Wine, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just came in from work, turned the TV on and catching the tail end of it. But I thought you were talking about transportation and the fuel costs and everything.
We are. That's. Go ahead. You're there.
And I just wanted to say one thing. I was in Japan, over in Osaka, staying with some friends in 1993 and 1994.
Yeah.
I rented a little car over there about the exact same size as a little 4-door Kia Rio. It was a 3-cylinder. It got 100 miles to the gallon. Mind you, this is 1993 and 94. 100 miles to the gallon. Gasoline over there was $7.85 a liter. That's 5 quarts instead of 4 quarts U.S. gallons. And I tried to buy the car, which there was no problem with that. But when I got to checking in how much it cost to ship it back, the people told me I couldn't do it. Drop it. If I tried to pursue, I might get in some kind of trouble. And I had to leave the car there, and I couldn't bring it back to the States. And I was in Portugal in 1998, and that little smart car they're selling here, now I did bring the brochures back on that. That little smart car they're selling here now for $15,000 at 40 miles per gallon. In Portugal, the car, it sells for $7,500, fully loaded, and gets 75 miles to the gallon. Now, why is it when they bring it across the ocean, they lose 35 miles per gallon? I just want to say one thing. Americans are very foolish because they should have learned a lesson in 1972-73 with the so-called gas shortage that was created. And why do they still want to buy a vehicle that gets 8, 9, or 10 miles to the gallon like a Hummer and some of these big old 1-ton pickup trucks to drive back and forth to the grocery store and to work? Americans are the reason we don't have economical cars and fuel consumption on cars.
I'm not going to argue with you. So you have said it just the way it needs to be said. I appreciate your historical reverencing. Thank you for that. Walter, thank you, sir.
All right, you're welcome.
Byron, he's seen the car. He wanted to bring it home. They wouldn't let him.
Yep, I don't doubt that a bit.
I don't
saw
either.
some time ago an advertisement for a Honda that was getting 85 miles to the gallon, but that wasn't imported.
Oh, we can't get that here. We got too much gas. Go ahead. We don't want it. Let's take a pause to action while I mop my brow of the stupid that I have to put up with. Go ahead. We'll be right back. Special thanks to all the people in the Hunt Club for putting the Scizone up on the internet tonight, and all the guys in the control room doing a hell of a job tonight. My guest, Byron Wine. Let's go right back to Joseph. Been there a while. Joseph, you're on the air.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if Byron agreed with one of the comments one of the callers made earlier, that the host is an android built by Jim Henson for the Dark Crystal.
I'm not familiar with that, sir. I got to plead stupidity.
You don't worry about it. It's one of those gotcha questions. They're really brilliant out there tonight. Let's go to Larry. You're on the air.
Well, hi, Bill. How are you?
Doing well, sir. Go right ahead.
I can't believe I got through. Have you ever run across such a large collection of ignorant asses in your entire life?
No, they seem to be collected, and if we can get a number, we'll try to avoid going to that area of the town. Do we know where those ignorant asses were calling from? If we could, I'd really like to avoid going to that area of town or even shopping there. I'm sure. Would you guys, next time we have one of these ignorant asses that calls like that, let's try to make a note of it so I don't have to, I appreciate it. The lower side, yes.
Yep, we need some sort of a GPS device. That warns you they're coming through.
We do. We've got a screener in there, but he's an Android, so it don't work. It don't work. Anyway.
Listen, I'm not familiar with Byron, but I am familiar with the technology, and I have been to the websites. And you're right, this has been out there for a long time. And the main reason we're not hearing about it is because the greedy people that run things here don't want everyone to know about it.
Yeah, the power.
They don't want it to be common knowledge. And it's just like devices that you can hook up to your electric supply lines that will allow you to manufacture more electricity than you consume.
They're out there, and nobody wants to believe it. It's ha 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 ha.
That's right. And the man that came up with it in the United States and tried to market it was run out of the country.
There you go.
And that's why you have the same problem with these kinds of automobiles and this kind of technology. They don't want it here because they can't sell it, and they can't make the money off of it that they make off the current technology. So they won't allow us to have it.
You got that. The technology they got now is wore out.
Yep.
Larry, you're the man. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right. You have a good evening.
You too. Let's go to Donald right quick. Donald, you're on the air.
Yes. Yes, I didn't hear anyone mention the air-powered car they have. They're building in India now.
I saw that thing operate. That compressed air deal is something else. It really is. They're using it in factories in France, in the shopping markets, and vendors are using it.
I thought I heard something about Renault was maybe going to bring it over here.
I heard that. I don't know, sir. I think Renault is one of the people that are really pushing it. But it's out there, and it was on TV. I saw it.
Yeah, what can we do these days? Write to our congressman about this stuff? I think that would help.
No, what we do is we just go ahead and get one, put it on our car, and just quietly go away and stop buying oil and gas. And then they'll figure it out. Duh. I mean, when we don't buy it, we don't need it. Why? Yeah, it's water. Oh, well, wait a minute. How the hell can we tax that? There. Now, if they can figure out how to tax it, it'd be okay. You got it. I appreciate it, Larry. Thank you. Or Donald, thank you. We got to get it taxed. There's Danielle. You're there.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Oh, it's been hard to get a hold of you. And I just wanted to ask about Blackwater and when we did away with one of the 10 Commandments. Murder for hire is illegal, and across this globe. Blackwater does not wear an American uniform. They do not wear an Iraqi uniform.
What?
Everybody who has signed up.
Sir, have you got the right show?
They're guilty of murder for hire. And we're bringing all these people back.
Okay.
He's going to get it as he wants.
I appreciate the call, sir. I'm not sure what that's got to do with the fuel thing we're talking about, but I appreciate your call, sir. Thank you. He's well versed on it. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Let's go to Norman. I think Norman knows. Norman, you're there. Go ahead.
Hello, Bill.
How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Well, fair to Midland, as they say in that other area.
Two fast comments.
Quick.
When I was well, it's 1950s, when the gas was like 70 cents a gallon or less.
So much for the two fast comments.
Yeah. So anyway, there was a rumor going around that there was a carburetor for 100 miles per gallon then.
Yes.
And it was everybody asked what happened on the thing. One of the major automobile manufacturers bought it.
Bought it off the and put
and
it
they
on
bought
the
it,
shelf.
and then they wouldn't put it on the thing, you know.
You got it.
And then the other thing I wanted to comment on, if we ever do get cars that run on water on the daggone thing, our water will probably go up to $10 a gallon.
Every bit of
idiots.
it. I got to run. Thank you, sir. Byron, thank you for being here tonight.
Well, thank you, Bill. And look, if anybody's got any data I can put on my webpage, drop me an email. I'd be glad to do it because we need to get this information out there.
Thank you. Couldn't be said by a finer gentleman. ByronWine.com. Go look at it. Check it out. Thank you, Byron. I appreciate you being there, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Bill. Thank you, sir.
Good night. Anyway, your turn is to be here next Saturday night. Why? Because it's all about you indirectly. Do we change the world? No. Can we change each other? No. Can we help? Maybe. That's all it's about. It's information. Whether you choose to use it or not, doesn't matter. You're what it's all about. Right here in the Scizone, every Saturday night, and on the internet live tonight. Thank you for being here. Join us again next week. Until then, stay safe.